English-speaking Zoom, my Dandavat Pranam to all devotees gathered together to hear some Harikatha about glories of Lord Sri Krishna and his expansions, and to support each other with sharing faith, knowledge, and inspiration. So it says in scriptures, devotees, all rights to be fulfilled. It appeared to be a, advertising slogan of holy-minded devotees, that we can understand the consciousness has incredible quality is to transfer into others' mind and soul, because consciousness is an intrinsic part of our nature. So sometimes, in chemistry or alchemy, they would put some objects together, and in course of times, especially metals, the metals would observe quality of each other. And that's how alchemical transformation would happen, or herbs. So one herb become enriched by another herb. So that is, we can say, very subtle but physical level. So we do speak about Krishna consciousness. The transformation is even more miraculous, because consciousness has no physical substance, although it rules our physical body, mind, and senses. But the pure consciousness itself has, an incredible nature, which is full of energy. And we know that Krishna is Sarva Shaktiman, is the source of all the energies. And Jiva is the Shakti, the energy by the Supreme Lord. So when we glorified Lord Sri Krishna to Sankirtan, that is incredible way to connect with the original source. So Srila Govinda Maharaj wrote some book called Original Source. So we're all looking for our source of origin. We're looking for who's our grandfather, grandmother, what's our DNA, where our ancestor came, what is our family lineage, what is our country history. But really, this is all untraceable until you really understand that you are Jiva Swarupa Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. You're part of spiritual reality, and your intrinsic eternal nature is Nitya Krishna Das. So that was the meeting with Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and his first question to Mahaprabhu was, QnA, who am I? It's not that Sanatana Prabhu was neophyte, who didn't know anything about himself, but Mahaprabhu, knowing that his great devotees such as Sanatana will lay base foundation of Krishna consciousness, give an extraordinary direct question. Answer. Jiva Swarupa Hoy Nitya Krishna Das means your eternal Swarup, your eternal nature is Nitya Krishna Das, eternal servant of Krishna. That is your identity. And the loving service of Krishna is so sweet, so wonderful. By being connected with that service, you will fully realize your potency. So normally in material world, service is something we have to do for our livelihood. But service of love to Sri Krishna, it's way beyond that. Of course, it will give you livelihood in spiritual existence, but it's also will give you fulfillment of all your senses. Because why we are suffering in this world? Because we cannot fulfill our desires, we cannot fulfill our senses. But loving service to Sri Krishna is fully service fulfillment. Now we can say, well, at this moment I don't feel that. I try to chant, it doesn't work as the way it's been, advertising pamphlet, chant and be happy. So I've been trying to chant, it doesn't look like I'm happy. I was trying to serve the deity. I don't feel an inspiration, and sometimes I don't want to see anybody, including devotees. But this is very much like disease stage. Remember, we have a disease of called hridrogam, the conscious disease. So when we under influence of disease, one day disease is not so strong. Maybe you feel a little better. The next day disease is very pain and you can't move. That's the nature of disease. So disease, it's not just one stable condition. It comes up and down. So in our disease-like stage of Krishna consciousness, we also have ups and downs. We have some problem with faith. We have some problems with devotees. We have some problems with our own spiritual practice. And we cannot follow our senses, emotions. Sometimes we have problem with our hormones. Sometimes we have problem with our stars and horoscope. Sometimes we have problems in the whole country where we live. Sometimes we have problem with material world. So we pretty much living in a very unstable world. So the question is how to achieve stable stage of Krishna consciousness. How do you tune in Krishna consciousness, and how do you overcome all the obstacles? And of course, the very clear answer is you need to have association of devotees. Therefore, we're getting together here today and trying to get together every day to support each other, to be linked by consciousness, to synchronize our heart, where synergy is very important. And by feeling this consciousness beyond time and circumstance, like, we're hearing story about devotees who lived thousands of billions of years before, or will be living in the future. Like we see each other by Zoom, but we're in different parts of the world. Like right now, I'm driving by Highway 1, and somebody's in Siberia, somebody's in, Ukraine, somebody's in other parts of the world, India or America. Still, through the power of consciousness, and remember, technology is just one outcome of connected. So think of this, Krishna tells us, Man mana pavamat bhakto, you try to remember me. Try to always remember me. So that is a very important principle, to remember Krishna. And second important principle is never forget Krishna. Although it appeared to be a very simple instruction, but this is the key secret of Krishna consciousness, because all we have is the memories. If we lose our memories, as it was, many people were, in the film, where a person every day forgets who he is, and wake up every day, you start again to discover who he is, and then night comes, and by the morning, by the time he wake up, he forgot what is his position, what he meant to do, what is his work. So he's always trying to remember things. And I'm sure you've seen these Hollywood films. There are more than one. So every day you're trying to wake up and you don't know who you are and you don't know why you're living. Where's your real home? And this is, tremendous drama, because you are as you are, you're living every day, but the problem is your memories. You don't know who you are. You can't identify yourself. So that is the actually very good comparison with material existence. So self-realization is a tent to establish our own memories, who we are, why we're living, what's our purpose. But believe it or not, if that would be that easy, we would have done it already numerous times. There's no point of living billions of lives in a world of death and suffering. But because we're lack of this spiritual memory, lack of this spiritual knowledge, we need help. We need physician, Sri Guru. We need Sri Krishna, who is lovingly reminding us, hey, you're part of me, you are my servant. service to me is so beautiful. Even I want to become my servant. So when Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of God, think about loving devotional service to himself, he is ecstatic. He wants to relish his own sweetness. He wants to relish Krishna consciousness, and that's why he become Krishna consciousness personified as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, and this form of Guru Rupam Chavritam, as Guru, not just devotee, best of devotees means Guru, who is very dear to Krishna. Why? Because he is able, by Krishna's mercy, to share Krishna with others. And he has some devotion to Krishna, not just small devotion, it's devotion to share. So Krishna himself taking this form of Guru, taking form of Mahaprabhu, and with his associates, with his abodes, with all his followers and eternal associates coming to material world in Kali Yuga to do pastimes of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And sending to this world group of his beloved spiritual followers, live beings, as our Rupanuga Guru Varga, like Rupa Sanatan, Bhakti Vinod, Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada, sending those kind of souls to save us. And here we are trying to remember all these important things and trying to exchange. So that was my short start of this program. Just to remind us that this association is very valuable, very important. It's priceless because we're dealing with something which is way beyond our material perception of who we are, what we're supposed to do in this world. And as we have to continue our physical existence, which means we still have to continue to maintain our health, our body, our livelihood. This is the most important. Otherwise, without this knowledge, everything else we do is just an outcome of ignorance, of forgetfulness. So if anybody has any question, I'll be more than happy to start answering the questions. Ideally, if the Russian devotees, I would ask question in English, they can ask, or they can ask in Russian. We'll translate, and English-speaking friends, I like them to take an active lead and participate in this discussion.
Dear friends, you can ask in your question in the chat, or better asking by voice. For this, please raise your hand and asking.
Okay, Ganga DD, hello.
Dandavat. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My question is, first of all, Dandavat to all the devotees and Avadhut Maharaj. And my question is how to maintain devotional practice when you're far away from devotees, because in all lectures you told that like connection with the devotees is the most important, but if you're physically far away from devotees, how to maintain the practice? Because I'm trying to maintain it, but I feel that it's not enough.
Yes, very good question. First of all, thank you for being here, because that's the way exactly how you maintain. You see, when first time I saw you, you were a beautiful young girl, take pictures of all the devotees. So through your service, you were always inspired. In every festival, what you would take camera, and you would take a lot of pictures. So that means you're coming to a devotional community with desire to serve devotees, to do something. That is most important. When you have your heart desire to serve, it will naturally lead your affection and appreciation. So then you enter a family life, which is also part of your spiritual growth. And now you have a beautiful baby, and you live in Canada. And of course, you have to, you just move to a new country, you have to, get a job, get your baby going. So there's a lot of distraction from external point of view. But internally, I know you always remember about devotees in your heart, Ukrainian devotees, the festivals, the Thai devotees, the Russian devotees. So, so your inner culture, inner appreciation, very important. Because sometimes when devotees live together, they start fighting, they start arguing with each other. It creates a fence or willing-unwilling apparat, which is destroying spiritual life. So when you're on distance with devotees, then you can keep very good focus who devotees are and serve them, and time to time meet with them on programs, etc. That's actually a very safe position, because sometimes when we're living together with devotees, when we have very active practicing life, it's not easy, believe me. So it's not easy to be away from devotees, but not even worse to be with devotees, because we don't have that, we don't have that devotional power yet. But so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he would say the Grihastha family Vaishnava is very safe position to have spiritual life. So a lot of people hear this, oh yeah, that's good. So let me get married, let's go get a job, and that will be my spiritual life. But actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what he explained is, as a responsible Grihastha devotee, you take care of your family as devotional family, and you perform your spiritual practice, your chanting, your reading, your study, and with your family, you practice in a small group. That is very safe, if you can create that kind of family. But if you just think, oh, just because getting into family life, I become a great Vaishnava, it doesn't work like this. So what you should try to do is, no matter where you are, try to, as we said, remember about Krishna. Krishna say, Man mana bhavamat bhakto, serve Krishna. And you can look at Srimad Bhagavatam like Maharaja Ambarish. He was in charge of kingdom, but still his eyes always look at the deity, his hands always clean the temple. So although he was a capable man in charge of the whole kingdom, still his internal consciousness was Krishna consciousness. And even when Durvasa Muni, who was like a yogi and sadhu, with very big ego, I mean, no doubt, being great rishi must have great ego. If somebody's great, ego must be also great, as Govinda Maharaj used to say. So Durvasa came to him to take prasadam, because it is normal by the householder to invite devotees and feed them prasadam. But, Durvasa thought, well, this Ambarish is just a king. He's a materialist. He's not, king cannot be devotee. King is a Vishoim. He's got money, wealth, women, kingdom, politics. So how this kind of person can be a devotee? That was Durvasa's ego. But at the same time, Krishna made in the heart of Durvasa come and visit Ambarish. And Ambarish was very humble. And while Durvasa were taking bath, then Ambarish was time to break Kaddish. And Durvasa was fasting on the Kaddish, and Ambarish was fasting on the Kaddish. So the Kaddish is Paran, means to break the fast. That is very important. And Ambarish asked some of his, Brahmana consultants, what should we do? Our dear guest is still taking bath, but it is time to break the Kaddish. What should we do? Well, the Brahmana said that, then you can take little water, and when he will come, you can take prasadam. So Ambarish, very humbly follower the advice of Brahmana, did that. However, Durvasa got very disturbed. Oh, you break fast without me. He didn't say, I'm sorry, I'm late. See, the problem is, it's like ego. Oh, because of I came to bless you with my presence, but you're not really follow the rules of hospitality. And he tried to chastise and curse Maharaj Ambarish. the end of the story, he had to run away from his own curse. And finally, he took shelter of Lord himself. The Lord explained to him, said, well, Rishi, you miscalculate who is devotee. You thought, he's just a common man with, the position of enjoyer, materialist. But you could not recognize devotion. Devotion is not easy to recognize. And to being blind with your ego, you could not recognize devotion. So it is important for us to learn to recognize devotion with other devotees, whether they're family people or non-family people. But the point is this: we always have to be submissive, humble, in a mood of service. And sometimes when you are, as a family people, you have some guests, you can invite them, give them a little prasadam, and share with them, maybe preach to them. But if that is not possible due to situation, then you try to practice online. But remember, it's manmana, so it's to remember about Krishna. So whether you're in suffering or enjoyment, internally you should remember about Krishna. And of course, your great heart will cultivate appreciation to devotees, Krishna, and through this appreciation and non-offensive, sweet, humble mood of service, that Krishna consciousness will grow. Remember, Krishna consciousness is something very settled. So if we don't kill the seed of kripa, of Krishna consciousness, with our offenses and our ego, it will grow, and gradually it will bear the fruit. And one day you'll feel some high appreciation. Meanwhile, necessarily to Shravanam Kirtana means hearing about Krishna, and maybe you share with your husband or with your friends something very valuable which you heard. And there's sometimes we're thinking environment is not friendly, but Srila Guru Maharaj said environment is friendly. Don't try to become a victim, and don't try to blame environment. Try to understand you're not victim, you're got into that position through your own karma, through your own desire, and try to fix and adjust the situation with the environment. So that is what I think I would try to do. And right now I'm living in America with very few devotees, and I'm missing devotees in Ukraine and Russia and Thailand and India, but in my heart I remember about them. So separation sometimes is a great way to invoke the memories. All right, Ganga, I'm very happy. I hope you are continue wonderful service, and you have an incredible husband, incredible family. So I think you are very safe. Anybody else?
A question from Bhakti Lata. Could you answer, when disciple become powerful in the process of spiritual practice, what helps to create instead of destroy with this power?
And the question was, how do you use your spiritual energy for the creativity and not for destruction? Because due to human nature, wants to get power, money, fame, many times they misuse that. So the question is, if something is coming to us by Krishna's will, how not to misuse that power, and how to use this power towards proper function. Why Krishna is giving us that power? He's giving us that power that we can do some service. So there were prachetas, certain mystic sages in Srimad Bhagavatam, and they did tapasya. And as they did tapasya, means limit their senses and fasting and meditating. But that time they've done tapasya, like extreme tapasya, not like now, not like fasting on Ekadashi. One day they've done hardcore tapasya, and as they done this tapasya, they achieved certain power. So when they came out of their meditation, they realized that the place when they used to live now has been taken over by jungle. Like you go to Angkor Wat, Cambodia, you see sometimes the ruin of old temples now taken by banyan trees and other things. It looks very exotic, looks very amazing. But they realized, so we were such a long time doing our meditation that we are basically just spent hundreds of thousands of years, and now the whole our kingdom is changed. And they were very angry at those changes, and they started with their own eyes burning trees and plants and everything. In other words, their expectation were, oh, we should have a beautiful kingdom. And now, while we were meditating, there's no more kingdom. After 100,000 years, everything is destroyed. And they started burning the trees and forests with their own eyes. So out of their anger. So what it tells quite interestingly that the tapasya can also produce anger and lust, although tapasya really meant to control the senses and to elevate yourself. But if this result of tapasya not direct to Krishna or devotee service, it can become a problem. So that's why Krishna says, Bhaktaryam yagya tapasyam sarvaloki maheshwaram. I am the source of tapasya. I am the, whatever you do, yad jahasi yad tatnasi yad dadasi tapasi yad. Whatever you do, you should do it for me, to offer to me. So if you're just doing some yogic exercise or some fasting or some, mystic yoga or even spiritual activities without offering these activities to Supreme Lord and Shri Guru, without understanding that the meaning of all the activities to satisfy Lord Krishna, then obviously you can misuse your energy. Whereas material energy, which you can use for self-enjoyment, establishing, or spiritual energy, such as energy of tapasya. So you have to have very clear and pure purpose. And that purpose is Krishna Anushilana. So if devotee does everything he does with that one desire to satisfy Guru, Krishna, and Vaishnavas, then he can be successful. But because we are conditioned souls and we have big ego, and other devotees also have big ego, and and some other devotees also, they get involved in politics, then we can be trouble-wise. Because if devotees starting using their intellectual skills, the power for the politics, and misuse the purpose, what we are creating society for, what's our purpose, then this can lead us to self-destruction. So remember, we do have tendency of self-destruction, and even the great sages, they have tendency of the sins. That's Krishna saying in Bhagavad Gita. So the tendency of the sin with everyone, with the sinner and with the sage. But the difference between sage and sinner is the purpose by which one leading his life and serving. That's why we need to remind each other that we're here not to enjoy, not to establish ourselves. We're here to serve. And as we associate with devotees based on that principle, that memory, feeling, and inspiration comes to our mind. So that's what needs to be done in order to continue properly use our energy. And as Guru Maharaj say, Bhakti Mukti Sprihayavad Pishachi Kridavartate, and he's actually quoting Rupa Goswami, and he's saying, Bhakti Mukti Sprihayavad. So this desire of Bhakti and Mukti, it's like Pishachi, like the witches which attacking us. It's quite interesting. Sometimes people get attacked by ghosts at night, and the ghost can, cause a lot of trouble during the sleep. But if somebody wake up, that is going away. But it's almost impossible to wake up when you get attacked by ghosts, and it's almost impossible to do anything, any resistance, because sometimes ghosts are very strong. But somebody who understands this is some ghost attacking me in a stage of dream, if he like it, he remember the names of Krishna and start chanting the name of Krishna, and gradually ghost goes away. So that's what we need to do. Take shelter of name of Krishna, take shelter of Guru, take shelter of Vaishnava, take shelter of scriptures, surrender. And with that mood, we can be safe. Otherwise, if we're not surrendered to Guru, Krishna, Vaishnava, and holy name, that will not, medicine will not work with us. So, my Dandavat Pranam. Any other questions?
Happy to hear you.
Yeah, I would like some counsel on how to how to not overextend myself when all I want to do is like more study and more service, and I'm just exhausting myself. And yeah, like how do I know what to prioritize and what a reasonable amount of like how much to push myself to stretch my limits without like breaking.
Well, I mean, remember, number one, what's your necessity? It's like if you ask somebody, well, how much should I really eat? Should I eat like 2 pounds of fresh vegetables a day or 1 pound of fresh vegetables a day? And you can say, well, depending on size of your stomach, depending on your nutrition, depending how much energy you're spending. So the nutritions are there, vegetables are there, and there's minimum which you should take. But really, what you should do is you should carefully adjust yourself with your own abilities. And that is, like for instance, the guru say, well, we need to chant holy name. And then you can hear, well, some sages, they used to chant holy name 24 hours a day without sleeping. And you try to, go on for like a day, right? And maybe half day. And then you end up with the story after that, you need to sleep for another 7 days without changing anything else. You're so exhausted and you're so tired. And you say, well, I mean, I'm not a sage, so let me not chant at all. So then you are, according to the suggestion of our acharyas, you start some prescribed numbers a day, like 4 rounds, 8 rounds, whatever. And then once you feel comfortable with that, it's almost like exercise. So when you come to gym and you're trying to fix your health, you don't start lifting weights just like professionals do. So you go your baby steps, and on your baby steps, you see what works for you. It's more important for you, the quantity, the quality, the effectiveness of what you do than the quantity. And as you become more mature in your spiritual life, you will find that exactly balance between remember Krishna saying Bhagavad Gita, one who sleep too much cannot be yogi, one who eat too much cannot be yogi, one who sleep too little, who eat too little cannot be yogi. So it's about balance. But the balance is for everyone is different. So we can say, well, daily one need to walk. Yeah, but how much? Somebody can run, 20 miles a day and feel great. And somebody, walking a mile and that too. So you have to go slow and in good faith association, and don't try to jump over your head. Do baby steps, like slowly but surely. So that's my recommendation. And I think that's also scriptures recommend. But see, because we are, like for instance, you are, you're unique. You're like a spiritual scholar. You're also a teacher. You kind of function as a guru for certain people. And then you have your own interest in Krishna consciousness. And then, you have your specific intellectual nature. So you are not, let's say, some, women that just got into family life, just have 3 children and have to take care of family, right? So she might have any time to read, but she can like listen All right, I'm listening while I'm cooking for my children. I'm listening while I'm doing this. So in different time of your life, you have different responsibility. And then maybe later you say, well, considering I've done all this worldly affairs, now I want to go into deeper level of Krishna consciousness. Now I want to be more observant in my internal culture. Now I will be more observant in my meditation and chanting and praying. So that is also possible for you. So start something stable, baby steps, and see how far you can go and see what heart will lead you towards. Like, for instance, not everybody has to know all the spiritual books. But in our mission, there are some intellectuals that like to read the books. But the fact that they've read all the books does not mean that they're, highly realized people. But, they have intellectual ability. But, let's say if you have an intellectual ability and you can start preaching, it become another story, because through preaching, your intellectual ability is now utilized for Krishna service. So, it all comes to individual. There are general descriptions. You should remember Krishna 24 hours a day, but how to do it? Or manmana, or chanting Hare Krishna, or reading, or preaching, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Smaranam, remember. So everybody has his own, way to perform this. But at the beginning stage, hearing and chanting is the best. On deeper stage, once you feel your consciousness, then internal observance is also important. Not just hearing and chanting. You have to also observe, digest, think, man mana bhavamat bhakto. So engage your mind, engage your soul. Meditation. Meditation means actually not just empty your mind. And Vaishnava meditation means you might be internally relish some pastimes or song. Remember, a lot of the Vaishnava saints, they would chant the songs, they would be poets. Why? Because it's their internal expressions with a beautiful poetic way, and they would share their poetry with others. Because we're very much touched by art and poetry. So, it's not a dry thing, Krishna consciousness, a very beautiful thing. But what is your personal level of that you have to try to define yourself with help of others, with help of senior devotees. But that is your own appetite, your own food, your own nutrition, your own diet. What is your favorite dishes? What is motivating you in Krishna consciousness? Because when we look at the people that are coming to a devotee community, somebody like, wow, I love the beautiful deities, I love the dress, I love the flowers. Or like to make garlands. Or somebody say, well, I like to go to kitchen, I like to help in kitchen. And somebody say, I like to chant. Or somebody say, well, I like to read. Or somebody say, I just love to listen. So it's all depending on what is your nature. What is your, and remember, as more deeper you'll be connected to that, as more wake up consciousness will happen on the side of spiritual reality. It's more appreciation and tendency to specific service you will feel. I think right now you're doing fine as you are, and being connected with devotees and doing your daily routine, which you can do without breaking your neck or going into crazy stress, that you should do. Rupa Goswami said, not too slow, not too fast. Just like driving, driving, you drive too slow, you're in trouble. You drive too fast, you're in trouble. So get your own driving wave, the mood, the bath, and go with the flow. And try to catch the flow through association. Like you see right now, you hear it from the room, and you see Vasudha from St. Petersburg, she's running. She can't stay in minutes. She has to run. She has so much energy. She's a very energetic lady. and you know, Narayani, she's listening attentively, and somebody is like listening our talk, and like Vaishnava Das, he's probably cooking or doing some service. So everybody is according to his own nature. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. Anant Shesha Prabhu from Spain asked a question about why cannot we ask protection from Supreme Lord. Actually, Anant Shesha, we need to ask protection from Supreme Lord. I don't know who told you that. Rakshisha titi vishvaso goptitve varanam tatha. Anukulyasya sankalpach pratikuli vivarjanam rakshisha titi vishvaso goptitve varanam tatha atmanikshepa karpanyam shabidha sharanagati. 6 types of surrender is anukulyasya sankalpach pratikuli vivarjanam. To do what is needed, what is good for devotion, to reject what is not good for devotion. Like you should say, like, okay, maybe go to program is good for devotion. Maybe go to bar is not good for devotion. Maybe meet devotees is good for devotion. Maybe meet some materialists, not good for devotion. So you try to avoid bad association and accept good association. This is number 1 principle. Then next principle, to take refuge in the Supreme Lord. Yes, you should surrender to Lord with expectation that he will protect you. Rakshitvatiti Vishvaso. Prahlad Maharaj, everybody ask Lord protection. But here's an interesting point. They don't exploit Lord as a security company. You understand? So if you need a private security, you don't tell, okay, Krishna, now you become my private security. Okay, Krishna, now you resolve my problem like GPT chat. Or, okay, Krishna, now you do this work for me. I'm giving you the task. So, because some people thinking that is refuge in Krishna without surrender, it could be just one of the way of exploitation. So what we're trying to do is we're not trying to exploit Krishna, rather to take refuge of him with a prayer that we want to serve Krishna. And that is the proper attitude by which we should take refuge in Krishna. If we're just trying to exploit Krishna for our own low purpose, then the whole purpose of that acceptance of his guardianship and protections are being lost. Like, for instance, if something bad happens to you, you can say, well, Krishna, why didn't you save me? Well, Krishna may say, well, I didn't save you for a reason, because you become so puffed up, you have so much ego. Then to check your ego, I didn't save you this time. But actually, really, I'm saving you all the time. But one time I'm showing you, you're doing something wrong. Therefore, right now, I'm not saving you. And you should say, okay, Krishna, I understand. The cause of my failure is not you, it's me. Then let me try to adjust me rather to adjust you. So, because the Guru Maharaj say religion means proper adjustment. We have to adjust ourselves. I don't know if that makes sense. Anant Shesha Prabhu.
Да, спасибо, Махарадж. Дандават.
Yes, very good question actually. But remember, what you should do is for Krishna Anushona. And Krishna is very happy when somebody surrenders to him, and then he immediately gives protection. Just like Gajendra Moksha, the Gajendra elephant, or Prahlad Maharaj, because we have Siva Chaturdashi is coming. Immediately, Lord came to protect his devotee. But his devotee did not try to exploit the world. Lord is not to be exploited by our low tendency. It's Lord to be served from our servant position and giving the highest position. Not to make Krishna our slaves, to become slave of Krishna. Okay. Anybody else? Questions, comments? Because within 5 minutes I have to jump on Russian Zoom. I mean, not Zoom, Telegram lecture. So we have quite short time, maybe 5-6 minutes more. Any last question or comment or anything?
Dhanyavad Maharaj.
Yes.
Dhanyavad Maharaj. It's Ratin. Tomorrow is appearance day of Narasimhadev, Lord Narasimhadev, and I want to ask, why is Lord Narasimhadev is staying in so special position for our Guru Parampara?
Actually, Narasimhadev, according to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and our acharyas, are the core entrance of surrender and acceptance of devotee. Prahlad Maharaj is a beginning stage of the devotion where he's fully surrendered to Lord Narasimha. So that is the importance of Prahlad Leela, that without full surrender, you cannot have your true spiritual life. So real spiritual life begins from this stage of full surrender. Before that, it's not considered to be pure devotion. So Prahlad Maharaj, in one of his sloka, he explained, he say using word vanik. Vanik means trader. You know, like trader means I give you something, you give me something. You know, it's a community. I get from you this, you get from me this. It's like networking. So Prahlad Maharaj rejecting this position, saying, I'm not trader. I'm not somebody who's trying to engage in my relationship with you because I'm getting some benefits. Because all other people believe in God for their own benefit. But I believe in God out of pure love and appreciation of God, without expecting any mundane benefits. So that is the devotion which is free from material desire and a tendency of exploiting God. Otherwise, Jnana and karma, the tendency for fruit or tendency for knowledge, does not satisfy the Lord. And that devotion cannot be a proper devotion. Although at the beginning stages that can be accepted, but the real true devotion begins from full surrender and rejection of any material perception of relationship with Supreme Lord. It's like, let's say you're dating a girl and say, why I'm dating a girl? Oh, because you have money. Then you understand, okay, so maybe this girl does not like me, she likes my money. Or you're dating a girl and why she likes me? Oh, because you're famous. Okay, so then, you know, she also wants to attract by the fame. So that is the real source. And okay, she's not attracted to me, she's more attracted to my opulence, my power, to my money. But she has no attraction to me. Anybody else come along with more money, with more power, she's going to date that person. So that is very common often in this life. So that is not to be called like true love or true affection. Yeah, that's affection for money or love or fame. So same as with Lord. Lord is not to be accepted by us because of he is omnipowerful or because he can grant liberation. In the beginning, this motivation can be, but true devotion begins from unconditional sacrifice, unconditional surrender, and unconditional faith. And only at that stage, some true development of bhakti can happen. If we're not coming to that stage, that means we're far away from bhakti and devotion. But right now, we are far away from bhakti and devotion. But hearing the glories of Prahlad Maharaj, and the glories of that Leela, Narasimha Leela, will grant us faith that yes, you see Prahlad, although he was a little boy, he had very difficult situation, but you know, he made it. See, he was in much worse situation than I. You know, like he was surrounded by demons, his father was demons, they tried to kill him. But being a little boy, he took advantage of this situation and surrendered to Krishna. What about me? Can I take advantage of situation in my life to surrender to Krishna? If I can, I'll be very lucky. Or if I can't do it, then I might be Krishna, but his mercy will give me a chance in the next life. Divya Shakti DD, Haribol. Are you in Soquel?
No, I'm in Salt Lake City.
Okay. Yeah, I spoke with Divya a couple of days back.
You mean
We'll try
who?
to help.
Who did you speak?
I mean, I'm not Divya, sorry, Braja Mohini.
Asha. Uh-huh. Very nice. That's good. They have your prayers and your blessings, I'm sure, Maharaj.
Missing your divine association.
Mine?
Yes.
I'm missing yours, Maharaj.
Well, you know, I'm staying in America for a little time, and so I'm trying to preach by Zoom and every day, try to give some Harikatha, share with devotees. So, but I'm happy to see you. My Dandavat Pranam to all devotees. And yeah, maybe you should get sometimes on Zoom with Narayan, because sometimes we have Zooms with different devotees where you can be part of and preach to Russian Ukrainian devotees as well. Anyway, Gurudev, love you so much. You look very smiling, very good radiance, good energy. And any other way, you can try to call me. You never call me.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah, maybe call me later today. I just want to know how you're doing.
All right, Maharaj. Thank you.
I've been a little disconnect, you know, because I have a lot of my own work to do. But you know, I like to hear about devotees and see how they're doing. And I'm so happy to see you.
Right,
Anyway, the glorious service you've done for Srila Govinda Maharaj will remain with you forever. And here is Ramananda Prabhu. Wow.
Dandas
another-
Maharaj, Dandas Avadhut Maharaj.
Yes, yes. See, that's so much pleasure for me to see you guys, because long time I have not seen you. And just seeing Ramananda reminds me of the nice days with Gurudev. And Ramananda is always very enthusiastic devotee.
Yes, he is.
Yes. I'm blessed today by your presence. I'm shy to speak. Okay, guys, so good thing is Narayani, she can always invite devotees for association because we have different Zooms. And she's always trying to bring devotees together, as Srila Govinda Maharaj would love. So Govinda Maharaj would love us to stay as one family. You know, there are little this and that, little sometimes obstacles, little politics, but I think if we just keep positive spiritual association, and try to nourish each other's soul by memories of Krishna and devotees will be definitely successful in any our attempt. So I want to thank everybody who participated in this English speaking class. I'm sorry, my English is not very good. Not some mistakes, pronunciation. My English is not very perfect, but I know God is very merciful, very forgiving, very kind, and they have great heart. So even hearing from somebody like me, it gives them ability to extract and appreciate things. And also seeing your faces makes me remember Guru Varga, our wonderful acharyas. And if I said a few imperfect things about Krishna consciousness, in the way I could expose them, explore them, I'm sorry I'm trying to become a better preacher, but you're very tolerant, tolerating me, and I want to thank you for that. And with your permission, I will switch to Russian program because I'm trying to speak every day, also to some devotees in Russia, Ukraine, and their own language, just to give them some motivation. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm not a philosopher. I don't have a high knowledge of scriptures. In fact, when I motivate people, I motivate myself, which is quite amazing. So I'm trying to daily go on with little Harikatha, and daily I'm trying to hear something about Bhagavad or Gurus or Vaishnavas. So that should be our own food for the soul. We should try to hear every day something about Krishna. And if we can, we should share. If we cannot share, then we should write down things which is important for us. So not just hearing the story and not just hearing the theme, to make some points, to have a diary, spiritual diary, and say, hey, I understood this today, and maybe tomorrow I will apply this. So it has to be something that help us to change ourselves, not just beautiful stories, not just fun, not just beautiful mythical fairy tales. Krishna consciousness is something very real, very substantial, and will definitely change our heart. So Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripasindudevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. I'm very happy to see some senior devotees such as Divya Shakti DD Ramananda. Divya Shakti DD did incredible service for Srila Govinda Maharaj for years and years and years and years. She was a collector. She participated in construction, so many temples and ashrams, and fulfilling Srila Govinda Maharaj's heart, and always very sweet, very hard working devotee. And now she's in Salt Lake City. And, I'm just happy to see her sometimes and to hear her voice, just to purify myself, as well as Ramananda Prabhu, who's done incredible service in Soquel community. And by being such wonderful devotees, we know a family of Gurudev, not just going on, it's increasing. As you see, Divya Shakti, we have many, many different devotees from all over the world. And, we're trying to continue go with our whole spiritual life. And, if we humble without big ego, try to understand we're fallen souls and we need some mercy and be kind and tolerant to each other, we'll be doing well. So my Dandavat Pranam to everyone. I'm cutting out and going to Russian Telegram. Horosho, vodka, horosho. Divya, call me sometimes.
Yes, Nara. Okay.